Good evening, thank you for your company, hope you're well. Breaking tonight, by the end of the year, more than 90% of councils in Britain will be housing asylum seekers. Unemployed men housed at taxpayer expense, parachuted into communities up and down the country. What could go wrong? And get this, another 40,000 will be given taxpayer-funded homes in London and the south. So just imagine working, I don't know, 2 jobs to pay your rent, while the guy who just stepped off a dinghy gets a free house. Well, in total, 66,000 asylum seekers need to be placed all across the country, but there's only room for 46,000. That means a shortfall of 20,000 people. Where the hell do they go? Well, the government's looking at abandoned properties and military bases. So the same barracks built to protect Britain once, now turned into dorms for people who came here illegally. Well, in the US, President Trump shut this down. He deported, he deterred. He said, America has borders. Britain? Well, it's still running a welfare Airbnb. In America, the border crisis is a fight with cartels. In Britain, it's a fight with clipboards and councils. Critics say asylum seekers are being dumped into communities at random. That's not a policy, is it? That's a postcode lottery. Meanwhile, over here, Trump built a wall, a big, beautiful wall. I've been there myself. Britain, meanwhile, is building waiting lists. But the government remain insistent that they're working hard to put an end to it all.
We are going to drive down migration, both legal and illegal. That will only be done with a serious plan. The only way to make it work is to smash the gangs that are running the vile trade.
All right, smash the gangs. Let's get more with former Conservative MP Louise Mensch. Louise, thank you for rejoining us live from New York. It was Angela Rayner who, I think, before the election shortly last year, before they won power, said that every part of Britain would be taking their fair share of asylum seekers. What do you make of this? Is it fair? Is that the kind of thing we want?
What is their fair share of asylum seekers? The fair share of asylum seekers should be 20 or 30 a year that are processed through proper channels. Instead, their fair share is apparently hundreds upon hundreds coming in every day and going to be coming to a hotel near you in your town quite soon. And Labour just doesn't seem to understand the most fundamental thing in British politics today, which is how sick people are of this specific issue. It's incredibly expensive. Now you're looking at housing stock. We're going to put them in old barracks, which will probably have to be improved. They weren't improved for our soldiers, but they will have to be improved for these people. And Labour, I think, is almost suicidal, not looking at it and just repeating smash the gangs. When I saw your little clip there of Keith Starmer, I wondered if I'd done some time travel and gone back in time, because that's what he was saying a few months ago. And when he frankly says the only way we're going to do it is through a serious plan, well, Sir Keir, did you not have a serious plan, quote unquote, when you ran to be Prime Minister and your government got elected? Are you saying that you basically got elected without a serious plan? Because that's a hell of an admission. Well, and if you did have a serious plan, it's not working very well, is it?
Well, they had plenty of time to get a plan together, didn't they? They were sat twiddling their thumbs for 14 years. I mean, you would have thought they had something a bit more substantial than what they've come up with. And also, Keir Starmer and the government, they'll say, you know, we're bringing down asylum hotels. Well, I mean, the numbers say they're not. But even if they were, all they're doing is migrating these asylum seekers to HMOs, to residential streets up and down the country, cramming 6 of them into makeshift houses where they've knocked a few walls through to make more bedrooms. And then you've got in the likes of, where was I? Bolton, where over the past 3 years, they've gone from something like 200 HMOs on the council register to more than 700. Yes, albeit not all of those will be asylum seekers, but the vast majority are. So you've got normal residential streets all across Britain now being flooded with asylum HMOs, and at the same time the Labour government going, see, told you we'd reduce the hotels. They haven't reduced the hotels, they've just moved them to another place, Louise.
They've shifted it around. Well, it's like, you know, we all know if we're tidying up and you're pushing the Hoover around, you don't just, you sweep up the dust. You don't just take a pile of dust from one end of the room and put it in the other end of the room. Well, unless you're me. But like most tidy people do not do that.
Accused of doing it by my wife.
There you go. Most tidy people don't do that kind of thing, but Keir Starmer is not a tidy Prime Minister at all. He has these numbers. It's all very well saying to the people, it is, as we used to say in the Tory party, taking the people for fools, saying, well, we've cut down hotels, but we're going to increase hostels. The fact is, you are going to increase asylum seekers in most towns in Britain because you can't stop letting them in. It is that simple. They have to be put somewhere, unless they're going to be roaming the streets being homeless, they've got to be put somewhere. So I suppose Labour should be looking at trying to even the burden across the UK rather than concentrate them all in Bolton or wherever has a stock of lousy housing. All they are really doing, Ben, is they are crushing their own areas where housing is a bit more cheap and people can make money with these sort of HMOs. And they're not going to crack down on the practice because they need the beds.
Yeah, we can't stop the boats or won't stop, who knows. Also, it's Serco who are offering these landlords 5 years rent up front, massive rent. Let's bring in my panel. Hillary wants to say something about this. Hillary Forward and Angelina McCarthy. Hillary, what's your take on this?
Yeah, this is the only way, I think, to put this into context is to ask everybody, why did we fight the First World War? Why did we fight the Second World War? It was to stop the Nazis coming and invading. Would we have given the Germans, oh, by the way, here's free housing for 6 months, here's free food for 6 months? Would we have done this to the Germans? Why not?
Well,
Why
obviously,
didn't we?
these guys aren't Nazis, right? They're not sort of the Führer, but...
Well, what's the difference? They wanted to invade. This is an invasion. We're giving them free housing,
well,
free food.
On paper, they're refugees. That's the
thing. On paper, they might be, but they're still not. They're not British. They're not. They're coming to the country. What are they coming to do? Are they coming to contribute? Are they bringing anything to the nation? What are they doing to bring to the nation? I think that is what is absolutely horrendous. And then particularly in local communities where the people are working hard, they're paying their taxes, and they're seeing the very people next to them who aren't working and are living on government benefits. I think that's an absolute sin, and I think that it's also threatening safety. We already talked about earlier. We talked about the pedophile who's out and was released mistakenly. I think you're going to see more of these crimes because what are they going to do? What are they going to be doing in these communities? It's not safe and it's not fair.
Yeah, I would just say, I'll just clarify again. I don't think asylum seekers are on the same page as Nazis, but I will say they come from cultures where clearly they don't view women and girls the same as we do in the West.
Different values, yes.
But there's also the argument, Angelina, that, you know, don't hate, sorry to sound like a millennial, but don't hate the player, hate the game. It's the government's fault for allowing them in the first place.
Well, where are you going to put the asylum seekers? Like here in America, we haven't just deported everybody, right? We do have detention centers where we're housing them. So what is the answer then? Where are you putting them? Are they just going to stay on the streets? And what's going to happen then? And wait to be deported or have their case heard in that sense? And then, of course, there's the unaccompanied minors that are coming over. And what is the moral question there? Where you're housing unaccompanied minors, are we putting them in cages or are we going to offer them a home? You know, there's all these nuances and questions, moral questions that also needs to be asked.
Can I ask you, Angelina, I went down to the southern border in Arizona and explored briefly how President Trump has pretty much stopped illegal migration overnight. He's given the powers back to local law enforcement to, you know, to do their job pretty much, which is what an idea. Wow. Do you support President Trump in what he's been doing here with illegal migration?
I think that President Trump has been chaotic in his approach with migration. I think that immigration and how many people came over during the Biden administration was influx. It overloaded our system. It's overloading our social welfare system in America. The problem is the Democrats and the Republicans, they didn't really offer a strong solution to immigration. So I'm for immigration. I believe that there should be a process though, and there needs to be standards and procedures. I think that immigration is a good thing. It brings a net positive in the end to society. But I think Donald Trump went to the extreme of completely shutting it down, where the Democrats completely opened it. I just don't understand why we can't find a middle ground here.
But there's a huge difference between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. When someone's first act is to come illegally, and when they say they're seeking asylum, from what? What is the huge war? What is the disaster going on in their countries? And also, if they're seeking asylum, what about the women and children? Absolutely not. They just want all the benefits. They just want to come to countries because those countries that have stopped and ceased the benefits, they don't go there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, let's be completely honest, Louise. I mean, I've seen stats, I've seen the reports. Most of these aren't asylum seekers. No. They're fake asylum seekers. They're fake refugees. They're here, and look, I don't blame them. They're living in Sudan or Somalia, and they see the land of milk and honey in Britain and want to come here. So
exactly.
Okay, fine.
And by the way, why don't they stop? If they want asylum, why don't they stop in Italy? Why don't they stop in Germany? Why don't they stop in France? They don't need to come all the whole way.
Yeah, go on, Louise.
Well, first of all, I just want to also disassociate myself because I do think it trivialises the Holocaust to say that these people are actual Nazis. They're not over here gassing Jews, but quite a lot of them are over here committing crimes. And I think that's partly, if you look at the people that are coming in, there are children who are being smuggled and put in incredible danger, but these people are overwhelmingly fighting age males. That's what they are. They are fighting age males who simply have to say, if you look at them, you can see where are the women and children, where are the old people that you would normally expect expect if people were fleeing a natural disaster and they wanted asylum. No, it's all young men who are coming over here to take advantage of our welfare system. And what your guest said there, she was right. That is the other side. We can talk about leaving the EHCR and abolishing the Human Rights Act, and we should do that. Labour should do that. But while we have this incredibly generous welfare system, that is why they don't want to stop, by the way, in France or Italy. It is because our welfare benefits are far too generous. It's like leaving out, if you leave out a load of bird seed, the birds will come down and eat it. And that's what we're doing. And that's a real mistake.
Louise, just before I let you go, can I ask you, how long have you been in the States? And also, do you feel safer as a woman in the UK or America, New York?
I actually feel pretty safe in both places. I'm sorry to those people that want to portray New York as an overwhelming hellhole. It isn't. I've never been attacked there. It's fine. But, you know, I am an American as well as a Briton. I am a legal immigrant to the United States. And I completely agree with your guest there, Angelina, who said that we have got to have more legal immigration. If we have more legal immigration, we can have a progressive immigration policy. Immigration is important. Yes. We need it for our pension system. Let's be honest. But let's do it the right way, and the legal way is something that we should have a consensus on.
Yeah, I guess the issue is when you've got mass uncontrolled illegal migration on such a scale, you put people off even legal migration, you put them off genuine asylum seekers. Correct. They don't want to know about any of it, which is, it's a shame. Louise, thank you. Appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon. Take care. On the issue of illegal migration, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, has previously said these small boat crossings are utterly unacceptable, and the vile people smugglers behind them are wreaking havoc on our borders. Thanks to our deal with France, people crossing in small boats can now be detained and removed to France. Protecting the UK border is my priority as Home Secretary, and I'll explore all options to restore order to our immigration system. Yeah, isn't that great news? They can now be detained to France. I wonder where they go when they are detained to France and released back in France. I wonder what happens then. Oh yeah, maybe they just sneak back into Britain. Let me know your thoughts. gbnews.com/your say.